People today talk a lot about games that are NES hard, trying to harken back to the 8-bit era. While games today are dozens of hour-long blockbuster adventures, developers back then had limited space and had to make games that couldn't be beaten in just one sitting. Even though difficult games aren't everyone's cup of tea, that's just the way things were back then. But with that, there's a genuine feeling of accomplishment to conquering these games, and difficult games today just don't offer that same feeling. Take a game like Dark Souls or Bloodborne, for instance. Whenever I got past a difficult area or boss fight, I never really felt as if I grew as a player as much, but it always seemed to me as if I got lucky with their attack patterns, or maybe got a lucky dodge in there that I should have been hit with. While still relieved, I never really thought I bested a foe in a way. Go back to a game like Castlevania. As everyone knows by now, this game is hard! It can be unfair and beat you down to your knees, but it can be outsmarted. Maybe it was a product of the limitations of the time, but I really think the level designs were there to have players outsmart the game by beating it at its own game. Medusa heads and skeleton snakes can often be dodged just by walking forward, and you learn placement within the space to avoid damage, but still deal some yourself. Castlevania was also good at making you be patient. You couldn't really speedrun these games. You needed to assess the situation and make smart decisions. You really learned enemy placement, item placement, and the most effective strategies for dealing with enemies. And if you're able to beat this game, you know exactly where all the wall meat is hidden. Boss fights did mess around though. Players have their own strategies, but sometimes there aren't real strategies. I always thought the most effective way to fight the mummies was to have them knock you into the corner so they can't attack you on both sides. And against Frankenstein, I don't know any other strategy better than facing him head on and mashing the attack button. There's just something about figuring out these little things to help you out that gives the player that aha moment that they outsmarted the game and took the advantage Castlevania did not want to give. Going back to capture footage for this game, it took me a while to even get past Frankenstein, but I love that about it. I couldn't just pick up the game again and easily defeat Dracula. I'm happy that I couldn't do it again without really practicing to do so. It speaks highly of the game that it will always be a formidable foe if you don't stay sharp. When I made it my mission to beat Castlevania for the first time, I almost broke down. After hours and hours, I finally got past the Grim Reaper. That in itself was a rewarding accomplishment, and I thought the worst was over. But Dracula himself was still looming, and the real fight was about to begin. Climbing those steps to Dracula's tower really set the scene for a great final battle. I was about to do it. I just had one more boss to beat and I could finally say I beat Castlevania. Try after try, I failed, and as the sun went down, I realized that I was still here, defeated, at 1 in the morning. Mainly because of that stupid first form always spawning on top of you. It's bullshit! I had to walk away and regain my composure. I couldn't even look at the cartridge or TV screen for a while, or else it would get my blood boiling. But I couldn't turn off my NES. I would have to do all of this over again, and the time spent would be for nothing. So, I had two options. Leave the NES on overnight, hope it didn't get bumped and try to regain my rhythm back in the morning, or press on until I mentally and physically couldn't for the night. I battled Dracula over and over until finally he was defeated. But I can't say I got excited. I was just relieved with so much pressure. I beat the game. It felt like I've done the impossible. And all this time spent was training myself to do it. I learned so much from the game and found the strategies that were the most efficient for me. It was the most rewarding gaming achievement that I think I've ever had. Those games weren't just difficult for the sake of being difficult. They taught you everything you needed to win. We learned how to control Simon Belmondo's— wait, Belmondo? Awkward movement, his weird jump physics, where to find crucial items, enemy behavior, but most of all, patience. Castlevania isn't a game that you'll try over and over and get lucky to get past the tough part. It's a game that demands the most out of you. You need to beat it with your mind and your skill, and that's what's so special about Castlevania and the NES. Hey, thanks for watching this video on Castlevania. If you want to see more of our videos, check out our Is It Fun review series. So far we've talked about Overwatch and Crypt of the Necrodancer. We sure got plenty more on the way.